Good day, doctor. My name is You Quan, reference number 2777531, and this is my group members, Wei Kang, Tchong Man, Hao Wen, and Chong Zhi Hang. We are from Group A, Team 9, and we would like to present about the title COVID-19 and International Threat of Canada. So, first, we want to know what is international threat. International trade is the purchase and sales of goods and services by companies in different countries. International trade allows countries to expand their market and access goods and services that otherwise may not have been available domestically. As a result of international trade, the market is more competitive. This ultimately results in more competitive pricings and bring a cheaper product home to the consumer. The economy of Canada is one of the most developed and significant in the world. According to the data from the World Bank, the nation's yearly gross domestic product was 1.74 trillion in current USD in 2019. That makes Canada the world's 10th largest economy in the world. The Canada economy is heavily reliant on international trades, with both export and import of goods and services accounting for around one-third of GDP in Canada. International trade included export and import. Export allows Canada to sell their goods and services in exchange for foreign goods and services. For example, export means add productions beyond that produced for the domestic market, which allow for economy of sales interactions and lower average cost of producer, in turn lowering price for consumer. Import provide input to producer and competition for Canada producer. They provide job directly to people in the transportation, wholesale and retail sector, and indirectly to many others whose activities support those involved in importing. The COVID-19 pandemic has resulted unprecedented disruptions to the Canada economy at the local, regional, and national level. The economic uncertainty created by the crisis can be particularly harmful for the Canada business that engage in the international trade and depend on the global value chains as part of their business model.
Good day to doctors. I am Tchong Man, matrix number 27213. Now I'm going to present the contents called the trade analysis on export and import in Canada during COVID-19. In 2020, Canada annual merchandise export declined by 12.4% to $524 billion due to the COVID-19 pandemic. While annual imports fell by 8.5% to $561 billion, Canada total trade deficits increased from $36.9 billion in 2019 to $44.8 billion in 2020. When foreign trade in products and services is included together, both export and import of products and services in Canada fell to the record low due to the suspension of several businesses during the first wave of the epidemic in March, April, and May. Then, when manufacturing facilities both domestically and abroad gradually resumed operations, global commerce in goods recovered quite swiftly. The lowest level since 2009, export dropped by 28.4% or $12.6 billion in April to $31.7 billion. Export were $46 billion in July, 3 months later falling $1.9 billion short of the pre-pandemic level in February. Despite ending the year below February levels, export grew at a more usual rate of most of the remaining months. Import decreased by $30.1 billion or 24.1% in April and 3.4% in May. Once again on the rise in June and July, import volume has surpassed February levels by October. So that is all for my part. I will pass to my group members to continue the presentations.
Hi, my name is Wei Kang and my matrix number is 2770903. Now, I want to present my part, which is the effects on export in Canada during COVID-19. In the first 3 months of the year, Canadian exporters suffered from round restrictions, disruptions to global supply chains, ongoing trade tensions, and actions that contains COVID-19. Then, there are some effects on SME exporter and large enterprise. In March 2020, the decline in the number of SME exporters negatively 10.7% was slightly greater than large enterprise, negative 8.3%. Besides that, the export by SME exporter and large enterprise fell by 10.3% and 7.6% respectively. Furthermore, both SME exporter and large enterprise had regional variations. The number of SME exporting to Asia, mainly China, and Europe, mainly France and Italy, fell faster. In contrast, the number of large enterprise export to Latin America and the Caribbean and Africa declined faster. Next, I want to talk about the impact of COVID-19 on export volume in March 2020. Based on the research, we can find that the industry that increased or decreased in March 2020. The industry that increased in March 2020 are transport industry, online shopping, retail sales, and agriculture, while the industry that decreased in March 2020 are mining and oil and gas. Now, I want to pass the presentation to another group member. Thank you.
Good day, Doctor. My name is Hao Wen, and my register number is 27801. So now I'm going to talk about my part, which is the effect on import in Canada during COVID-19. In May 2021, the amount of import had decreased for 4.9%, which has fallen into an amount of 155,470. This fall is the highest fall since the year of 2010. Canada also reduced the trade for around 90% with the United States of America, but in the first half of 2020, the United States of America still ranked the first imported end use of product, while China is ranked in the first in imported source of intermediate goods and consumption goods. There are two effects of import in Canada during COVID-19, which is unbalanced trade and shortage of goods and service. Talking about unbalanced trade, Canada is facing trade depreciation. Government will establish some policy to make Canadians not consume imported goods and services to make the trade balance again. The COVID-19 pandemic causes the rise in global price. This has caused the import goods to be relatively more expensive compared to domestic goods. This has forced the people of Canada to choose whether they will accept the new global price for import, which they are loyal to the goods and service, or they need to find substitute goods which are relatively cheaper. The next effect is the shortage of goods and service, as most of the country had closed their border to prevent their residents entering or leaving their country during the pandemic COVID-19. This has caused the manufacturing sector to face problems producing their goods. This is due to the fact that most of the manufacturing firms in Canada are importing intermediate goods from other countries to produce their products. As a result, the product produced by firm will decrease, and it will also lead to a drop in export, as products that are exported will decrease. So that's all for my part. Thank you.
A very good morning to Doctor. I'm Chong Zhi Hang. So I'm going to conclude this report. In conclusion, the coronavirus pandemic has caused serious consequences to Canada's international trading. In this case, the Canada's government is the person who is in charge of recovering its trade conditions. The right policy needs to be implemented during this serious moment in order to restore the trade level to the normal level as soon as possible. So the first policy that Canada's government made to recover the trading is by ensuring the liquidity of the market. Supporting the market liquidity by the government can help the local business to be able to access credit quickly. Besides that, the Canada's government has successfully accomplished over 600 billion in liquidity support available to help the local business. This success is reflected in implementing the facilities to support the financial institution liquidity so that the financial institutions are able to serve the businesses and households promptly during the COVID-19 pandemic. The second policy is that the Canada's government has put its effort on the international interactions with the World Trade Organization. The cooperative will allow Canada to get data and information on ways to control the spread of the virus and helps Canada to address its supply chain disruption. Overall, Canada's government has done its job in recovering its international trade excellently. Its effort has allowed the country to quickly get rid of the impacts brought by the COVID-19 pandemic, especially in international trading.